Yeah. We'll start with Livia. She's gonna give a little rundown.
Hi guys, I'm
This
Liv.
is
I work for
Livia.
a company called Big Noise. I also started a nonprofit called Motion Creative, whose mission is to really help underserved communities in music through music education. And we're really excited to have everybody. And this is really special because Ange really curates this with Dayyon in a way that people work together and love working together and actually want to honestly share stuff together. So this is really awesome. We are doing a donation thing through Venmo with Motion Creative. We're donating all of our proceeds to the Music Cares COVID relief program. So if you want to donate, you can donate at Motion Creative on Venmo. We're going to put it in the comments. I'm also playing Zoom God today, and I will be muting and unmuting you to make sure that the feedback is as little as possible. So just keep that in mind. If you know how to mute yourself and all that stuff, you can totally do it, and I won't do yours, but if you want me to do it, I'll do it. And I'll also be checking all the comments and stuff and keeping everyone on track through Ange. So
So please donate. Yeah, please donate to all your fellow musicians that don't have healthcare and are affected by coronavirus.
Listen.
We're all most talented or most talent in the industry are, they're contractors, and not all of them have private healthcare. So extremely important to help your peers, because we know how tough it is in the beginning when you're starting out with your career before you're able to afford luxuries like healthcare. Exactly.
Yeah.
At least within the United States, because I know in Sweden is a universal healthcare.
Yeah, it's very different here.
So that's an American thing.
Yeah.
So shout out to the Americans. Just piggybacking off of what Livia said, we, Darren and I really curated this and put this together because we really wanted to educate young up and coming talent that are sitting at home during this time, learning how to produce. You guys mentioned that you guys are still trying to get back into the swing of learning how to record yourselves and learning how to produce and learning how to write. And I think it's important to, for the producers and writers that are sitting at home, or the aspiring artists that don't necessarily have a hit record yet or have success yet, to really learn from people who have had all those wonderful things. I'm really, really grateful to have all of you guys join us. We really appreciate your time. This is, again, super special for us. So thank you so much for your time. And just want to remind everyone, we had a live chat where people can, engage and go back and forth. Please be respectful in the live chat. If you are not respectful, you will be escorted out. We've had to do that in the past, and this is all supposed to be great vibes and just a learning experience, and just a great, casual hang amongst friends. So great to have you guys, and leave it off to Dayyon, the wonderful songwriter, producer extraordinaire. He should just be a full-time stand-up comedian sometimes on his side. He can do a lot of things, and grateful to call him a friend. And he's our moderator and our star of the show.
Shoot, dang. Okay.
Welcome.
What's up, y'all? I mean, sometimes we do these long intro things, but I mean, we're figuring it out. It's different every week. But just for anyone, I feel like everyone knows who you guys are, but just for anyone watching who doesn't know, you guys are tuning into some really amazing songwriters and artists in their own right. I'm not gonna say too much because I want to let you guys talk, but Fred Ball is Grammy nominated, winning this and that. Don't act like you hate it.
Wait, Dayyon, can we take a moment to acknowledge that Fred's ball photo with Jay-Z at the Rock Nation brunch was everything that everyone needs to just know and acknowledge and to show how special Mr. Fred Ball is.
Yeah, if you're not familiar, I mean, the Rock Nation brunch is a thing all in itself. It's like a spectacle. It's pretty much just everyone who's important eating potato salad in a room. It's a really weird party that you go to. And yeah, you
That
walk
sounds
in and then
amazing.
yeah, that's I don't know how else to explain it. It's literally just really rich people eating like picnic food, but like bougie picnic food. It's like, oh, this potato salad was flown in from Paraguay, and it's got they massage the potatoes for 10 years, and then you eat it, and yeah.
Oh, love
But
a
yeah,
good massaged potato.
but yeah, there's Fred Ball and Jay-Z, just chatting it up, and then pictures on the wall. That's this guy. He's an amazing producer, writer. As we all know, "Love on the Brain" by Rihanna. He's written for Beyonce and Jay. Like, I don't want to do this. This is just making me feel bad. I don't want to talk about your
Let's talk about something
accomplishments.
else.
He took me to my first Grammys this year. You escorted me and Jeff to our first Grammys this year. It was like
Yes.
a prom date. It was cute. It was cute.
Aw.
Fun.
So thank you for doing this. We have one half of Icona today.
Yeah, my
man.
wife and partner in crime, she wasn't feeling well, unfortunately.
That's all good.
So I'm representing the both of us.
Nice.
Amazing. And we're so happy to have you on all the way from via Sweden to, well, you're in LA now, so that doesn't even, but still, you
Are you in
represent
LA?
Sweden.
I'm in Sweden.
Oh, you're in Sweden. Oh, I thought you were in
I'm
LA
stuck
too.
in Sweden. Thank you for having me. This
Mm.
is awesome.
No, we are really all over the world there. We did
Yep.
this. Oh man. And then Tove, you're in LA, right?
I'm stuck here. Yes.
Yeah.
In LA.
We are all stuck. Oh my goodness. Well, I appreciate you guys coming through. And like you said, it's just kind of cool to be able to talk to people that you work with, that you write with, who have been successful and done so much in their careers, to be able to kind of sit down and talk to people who want to be where you guys are and know how you guys got there. I think I always like to start with more of like how everybody knows each other. I mean, I know how I know all you guys, but and all of you guys know each other. Fred, you've worked with Icona and Tove.
I've never worked with Icona,
Never.
but I know Tove very well.
Yeah. Yes.
We're good friends. We hung out in Japan once in Tokyo.
We did. Oh, that was so
Nice.
we randomly, our first session that we had, we both realized we were going to Japan at the same time, staying at the same hotel. And we're like,
It
is
was
this
so
really
weird.
happening? Yeah, so weird.
Yeah.
It was great.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
so one of the
amazing.
coolest places I've been. Me and Caroline went to high school together. We used to live together in Stockholm. Like, we've had a pretty long journey since we've known each other since we were 16. And
That's crazy.
lived together in
Ah.
our early 20s, which was a bit of a madhouse.
At a place called Techno Street.
Yeah, Techno Street.
Techno
In-
Street.
Yeah,
Yep.
This was in Sweden.
yeah, in Stockholm. Yeah,
So Technogatan.
yeah, Technogatan.
That was really good. Technogatan.
Gatan.
I mean, Fred is
I'm-
Norwegian, so
I'm
it's a little
Norwegian.
bit of cheating.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, no.
Really?
I-
That explains it.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. See, that's my thing. I can't
can speak
really
Scandi.
acknowledge Fred as a Norwegian, even though he is completely
Mhm.
Norwegian. He is the most British person. You are Parliament to me. You are the
I'm a
voice.
fake.
You are more British than any of my British friends that I know. I don't acknowledge it. But yes, but I appreciate it. So we got Sweden in the house, we got the UK in the house, and we got LA. I appreciate you guys being here. Tove and Icona, you guys starting in Sweden, doing your thing. Where did you guys both start in high school together, like pursuing music? Was it like did you guys work together when you first started out, or did you guys kind of do your own thing?
It was a music high school, and me and Caroline got put in the same, like, it was like a public music school. Like, you can kind of choose your direction after junior high in Sweden. So like when you start high school grade 10 to 12, you can kind of pick direction. And we both were in the same like ensemble. So like they put you together in like different band setups, and like the focus is like kind of pop rock mainly. And
We did our first performance together.
Yeah, our first
ever
performance together.
at the school.
There is a video of that somewhere, and I hope it
I
never gets brought up to daylight.
We'll have our
the
research.
jeans,
We'll have our
the
research
same like
team
hair.
find it. Let's do it.
Yeah, but it was. I was so nervous, but then I met you, and it was just like, wow, where have you been all my life? And yeah, since then we've been friends, and it's amazing to have such a close friend on this journey as well, to have someone to always that I can always call and be like, what should I do about this? Or just like, you know, it's
definitely.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you guys really are always together.
Yeah.
Whenever we can.
Whenever we can, yes.
I think the first time I met you was, I think you were definitely there. So I think it was
which? Oh, yeah. It was. I met Caroline's house.
At Charlie XCX's.
At Charlie's.
At Charlie's house.
Yeah.
And then that's where we met. And then we had a session like a little bit after that. Tove was there. And it was actually, I don't know what that was. We wrote a great song, but that was
great.
We had a party in the studio.
Yeah, that was a funny session.
But it was I love that song.
Me too.
And then we still gotta work that out. Fred, you coming from Norway, how did you get from Norway to London?
I moved to London years ago, a long time ago, after high school, and I didn't really plan to stay here or anything, but I think the plan was to just move here. All my friends started university in Oslo, but I wanted to just take a year and just figure some stuff out. So I just moved to London with a keyboard under my arm, and my plan was to stay here for 6 months or 12 months or something. But I've been here for quite a few years now.
Yeah, you are the president of parliament now, so yeah, you are.
So yeah, it was. I mean, I never really had a big plan to stay or to sort of conquer music. I did music in Norway. I played in bands, but when I came to London, I was working in bars and cafes, and at night I was just doing music in my bedroom.
What was your first thing? Like, when did you go like, oh man, I could actually make this happen. I could actually maybe be in the music business?
I think the most important step for me, and it happened fairly quickly. It was EMI Publishing, which doesn't exist anymore. They offered me a publishing deal, and I didn't even know what publishing was. And there was this guy called Mike Smith, and he called me to his office and he signed me. So I quit my cafe job and ran to Denmark Street, where all the music shops were, and I just spent loads of money, and I had improved my studio.
That's amazing. And Tove, and I don't know why I keep asking you guys this simultaneously. You can answer separately, obviously. But for you guys, what was that moment for you guys where you were just like, oh, this is cute, but now it's like, I really think this could be something. Like, I could maybe pay my bills or like make a living doing this.
I feel like I had a similar thing where I was kind of playing in after high school. I was working at a bakery, I was working at Urban Outfitters, and I was doing like freelance cover gigs and session songs while trying to write music and play in bands and stuff. And then eventually I got signed as a songwriter. And I mean, Caroline would say more about this, but she was I was just like, doing any kind of job I could while making music. And meanwhile, her and I know like Icona was starting to take off and like was starting to bubble around Europe, and they were traveling. And I remember I got a gig with my own music with my band, playing in a cafe outside a festival in Sweden. So not in the actual festival, like at a cafe outside in the little city.
You was festival adjacent.
Yes, festival adjacent. And an A&R from Warner Chappell was there and saw me play and kind of was like, I really like your lyrics. Like, I'm interested in what you're doing. And I sent him a few of my songs, which was at this point, no one really wanted to write and work with me. So I was producing everything myself and kind of doing what I could. And I sent him some of my songs, and then I got signed. And that's when I felt like this relief of like, I'm going to be able to pay my rent without selling my TV this month. And I can like, you know, and then there it kind of took off. And then some of my first cuts as a songwriter was with Icona Pop. Like Caroline kind of, you know, took me in. It's like, there's this new girl that I know, you know, she helped me out a lot in the beginning. So that was
Amazing.
really cool. Yeah.
And for you, Caroline, oh, I think she's muted. Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, in the beginning, when me and Aino met, we met at a party at my place. And the day after, we started Icona Pop. And then a month later, we had our first show. And we forced my mom to sell tickets because we had to sell out. It was like pay and play. So the middle age was very high. But it was great. And then we just worked, but we worked hard for a long time without going anywhere. And we had all different kinds of jobs. But then I remember one thing very like specific, and that was we had our song on MySpace.
And, shout out to MySpace.
Yeah. And this guy Gildas from a French label called Kitsune, he reached out and he was like, we would like to have one of your song Manners on our compilation. And we were like, what? Someone in France actually heard our music? And are you kidding me? And he was like, I want you to come here and play a party for us. And we're like, we are gonna fly? This means we're artists now. Like, we're doing this for real. This is crazy. So for us, that was like, wow, we're gonna have a show not in our like bedroom or at a friend's place. We're actually going somewhere there, heard our song, and that felt huge.
Yeah, that's amazing. So at this point, everybody's working. Tove, you're writing songs. You still got your TV. You guys are playing festivals, like things are bubbling. Fred, you're in London, I'm assuming at this point, making music. I always love asking this because I always want to know I feel like maybe I know, but I want to ask anyway. What was the song, the moment, the thing that changed it all for you guys? For anyone who doesn't know you guys, I don't know who wants to start. I'll start with you, Fred. We'll just go that way so we have a structure. What was the thing that you felt like changed it all for you?
Well, I think things for me is kind of gone gradually. You know, in my 20s, I was an artist. I did this project called Pleasure. I released 2 albums, and also, yeah. So just releasing my own album was a big deal.
Still available on Spotify.
Maybe, yeah. And I mean, you know, it was one of those records. It probably sold 6 copies, but it was kind of cool. You know, I was hip for about 6 months, and yeah, so that was a big deal for me. And on the back of that, I think people started knocking on my door for production, for writing, and that's something maybe I didn't see coming, to be honest. So. And then I worked for, you know, I did a few big things in Norway, Scandinavia, in the UK, but I guess the big thing in the States was Love on the Brain with Rihanna. That was like, I guess the sort of
guy.
Big, you know, moment where everything changed. So
that was
yeah.
And
wonderful
what do you
song,
think?
by the way.
Yeah, I mean, obviously getting a song with Rihanna, but just for people watching or listening, when you say it changed as a producer, what do you think changed? Like, how did it go? How did you see your career change or things change for you in that aspect?
Well, I think the weird thing is that not that many things change. I mean, you know, I do my job the same, and I, you know, I guess I just got into better rooms.
Yeah.
But my work ethic and my I don't know, the way I work, I think didn't really change that much at all.
Yeah, it can't. I mean, it's like you've always had the talent. It's just when that one thing happens and
But it's
everyone's
not
like,
like you
oh,
wake up
it.
and you're like it's not like you wake up and you're this sort of new person, you know.
Yeah.
You eat, I still eat Weetabix for breakfast, and you know. Yeah. So what do you
Oh my god.
What do you eat for breakfast, Dayyon?
Just whatever. I mean, I don't do early breakfast. Like my breakfast starts at like 11. Unless I'm in the UK. UK is the only time that I'll wake up and just go get a proper breakfast. But most of the time when I'm here, it's just I get yelled at for not eating properly. So I don't know. But I definitely don't eat no Weetabix or whatever that is. That sounds like some cardboard. That sounds worse. I tried to make it sexy. Weetabix. What? All right, Tove, what about what about you? When did what was the thing that changed it all for you?
Well, I think, since I started as a songwriter, and it was like a couple of years of just me I was going actually back and forth to London quite a lot, and then working in Stockholm, and then did like 1 or 2 trips to LA, and I think I was very in the idea that like I love life as a songwriter. This is what I'm gonna be doing. But then I just had some, big massive heartbreaks happening in my life, and then I wrote Habits, Stay High, and just felt that like this is my song. And so, and when I played it for my publisher Julius, who's been with me, since day one, he was kind of like, yeah, this is like, this is you, this is what, and then so I put that out in 2013 without a label, and it just kind of got a lot of attention and love quite quickly. And then all the labels that I'd met, A&Rs that I'd met through songwriting, all kind of came knocking. I was like, what is this? Why haven't you shown us this? Like, come on. And so that I remember feeling that change. And then when I kind of re-released it with a new video and more like a push from Universal in Ireland, I felt it was a year later in 2014. I really felt that like it's happening now. Like I was on a plane to South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, and with my band, none of us had played outside of Sweden before. We were just like, it was really. That's when I remember feeling like it's happening. Like it's all coming true now, and since then I haven't been in one place this long in 6 years. I am
yeah,
strange feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, you start scratching, start to feel a little bit like a crackhead. You're like, oh, I don't really know about this. I gotta get out.
Caroline, yeah, but it's been an amazing journey. Yeah.
That's amazing. Caroline, what about you? When did you, I mean, obviously you guys were playing festivals and kind of having success, but when did you feel like this is it now? Like we're taking off. This is the start of it. Oh, she's muted still.
We moved to London because we got signed by a label over there, and we were like, wow, this is it. Like it's happening. And we made an album, and I mean, short, I'm gonna try to make it short. We wanted to release I Love It, but they said that it was too like Swedish and not made for radio. So we went part ways, or we got dropped, and we decided to release the song on our Swedish label 10, and we released the song and we started working it, and we felt immediately that it was a different energy. I mean, people responded to that song immediately, like just how it spread on blogs and different things, and like it was really cool to see. But we also worked that song for such a long time before it took off. So for us, it was such a big moment when it was in the TV show Girls, for example. That was really like, I woke up the day after Girls and it was like, what happened? Because we already had the song out, and it was just like we didn't really understand. It all happened so quickly. But yeah, that song definitely was the song that changed a lot for us.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I like the fact that, I mean, I feel like in all these cases there was no, I mean, even though there is a moment, I think in any career where things progress to the next level, it was still just a kind of like Fred was saying, just gradual. Like a lot of people think they're gonna get in and they're just gonna, this big moment's gonna happen and they're gonna write. No, it usually doesn't happen that way. It's usually just kind of a gradual, like, yeah, I wrote this song and I wrote that, and oh, this person wants to cut it. I've never heard of them. The Bush League band, but tight. Okay, cut my record, and then it kind of progresses from that. So I think a lot of people come in with the notion that it's this big, like, here's $1 million and go, and it's a lot of gradual things that lead up to that success. But I think those are the things that build. I mean, that's why you guys have had such long careers and continue to work, is because you built it on something. You guys did it for, like, obviously you wrote that song and you said, this song's for me. Like, it's not about like getting a big hit. It was about something that felt right for you to do. Same for you. And then Fred, I remember you telling me about Love on the Brain, even when you guys wrote it, that it was just kind of like, you didn't know necessarily what you had yet, like that it was going to be this massive thing. It was just kind of like, we wrote this song and it's cool to us. And I think that's the beautiful thing about music. It's the intention. And when the intention is to just write something good or do something great, usually something great happens with it. That's just my 2 cents. I don't know.
Yeah.
Speaking of, do you guys ever write songs and feel like it's a hit? Or is that even a thing? Like when you write a song, do you ever go like, this is a big record? Or this is like when you wrote Habits, or is there any record where you ever felt like, this is it, this one's gonna take off?
I felt that many times, and I've been wrong many times too. Like I feel like if it makes me feel something, if it gives me like, this feels huge, sometimes that has worked and sometimes I've been really off. So I feel like I have no like hit radar. I just have to write something that I really feel something from.
Yeah.
The only gauge we got is our kind of emotions, so if
true.
That's the thing. If you do something that you're excited about and you love, then there's a possibility that someone else is going to love it as well, I guess. But it's it's like that's the only meter you have in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also I feel like sometimes I bring the energy from the session with me. Like if it's a great session, if I like, then I'm like, wow, what a song. Like and the opposite, sometimes I have to like put the song away and maybe take another listen a week later and be like, wow, this song is really good, even though I felt like this session wasn't good. So sometimes it's like all about that energy that's created in the room.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, me and Fred, we've had these conversations where we'll write a song and be like, I thought that song was crazy. I don't know, and then we get, the upper whatever will hit us back and be like, nah, that was the worst song you've ever done. It's like, what? and then it's that random song you did in 20 minutes that you haven't thought about. They were like, everyone's going nuts for this record. And you're like, oh, I give up. I don't know, guys. So
but that's why it's a hard industry, because it's all based around emotions, and sometimes it clicks with the world and sometimes it doesn't. It's like it's so you can't. So I think that's what's important for me as an artist. If I start thinking about like, I need to make something that, I need to make a hit, I need to make a big song that everyone will love. If that's my goal, I can never, like, it needs to be something that I love and can stand for, because I'm the one who's going to go out there and talk about it and sing it and perform it and be involved in it for at least a few years forward. So unless it's something that I really connect with, I can't do it, which is why I very rarely take songs, or like I have to be kind of part of the writing process to feel like it's
to connect
mine.
with it.
Sometimes it clicks and then it's just, you just don't know when that happens. There's no like rules around it. It's just like you said, Fred, it's just like feeling based. It's emotions.
Yes. And I
Fred,
think also for me, I think I've never been good at writing with briefs, writing for like, oh, I'm going to write One Direction or something, I've just never been, I've literally had no success doing that. It's always
Yeah.
been just like, oh, this is cool, and it's just like you just go off and and that's normally, when it resonates with the people in the room, that's when kind of you creates a bit of magic, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think too, it's important if you're writing or producing to know what you're good at and not compromise that. I think it's very easy sometimes to look at other writers and go, well, I want to write like that, or I want to be like that. And if that's not you, then that's not you. Maybe you're not the I write to tracks guy. Maybe you're not the like I write these big hooks. Whatever it is you do is important and valued. That's something Fred actually kind of always put in my head. Shout out to
Right.
you. When I was, just embrace what you do. If you have to sit at the keys and you want to start that way, like do that. You don't have to. That's who you are, and that's how you write the best. And I think the main thing is being comfortable in your gifts and your talents, because a lot of times there are so many writers. Like I see James Fauntleroy and all these people who just come in as like, oh, and just put stuff down and stack it, but that's him, and that's what makes him special. But there's something in all of us that we add value to a room, and I think that is, at least I've been learning over these last few years as a writer, to really just value what I do well and do that. And that's when I think I started seeing like success on getting songs that people like, was when I started kind of doing that. So
and
yeah,
also listen to your gut feeling. I think that and that took me a long time to actually learn. I think for me, I was chasing my own tail for a bit, and just got caught in that thing of trying to make music I thought humans liked. It's like, oh, this sounds like pop music that I think humans would like. And it's like, well, what the fuck does that mean? It's just... So I don't know. Then I suddenly saw things that I had done that I really loved started resonating with other people, and that was a real eureka moment for me. When I could see that things that I really loved actually had success.
And I feel like it's easy to get lost as well. Like in the beginning, it's so clear because you just sit there and you start, and it's just you and your emotions, and you're expressing yourself. And then suddenly, or at least I felt like I got into this whirlwind of like so many sessions and how people saw me, and then what I tried to like meet up with that. And I was trying to be the one that they wanted me to be a little bit, and I lost myself a little bit in the studio. So it took some time for me to get back to where I am now, where I know what I'm good at, what I'm slow at, what I like, and just like you said, to trust my gut. Like a little bit. And even though it was like, no, it was telling me like, please, and I was just like, no, but everyone else in the room likes this, so maybe. But that was my worst sessions ever.
Yeah.
You leave with no energy. You leave just drained from all your creativity.
And I wasn't even good in those sessions. I was just like confused. So it took some time to get back and be like, hey, why did you start making music? Because you love it. And and just me and Icona sitting and producing like we did in the beginning, and just singing together, and just like, oh, okay, this is how it feels like.
I think that's a really good point, actually, because I have to remind myself often as well to reset my dials and say to myself, why am I doing this in the first place? Go back to that feeling that you had when you were 15, and you my mind was blown, and I was playing keyboards, and I was pretending to be Rick Wakeman with a silver cape in my bedroom.
Wait, hold up.
Where is the silver cape? We want to see it.
Yeah. I feel like this fool still has that silver cape though.
It's gone.
But I think, you're absolutely right. I think it's very easy for us to get caught up. I haven't experienced this yet. I hope I do experience it. But I think, for you guys, when you have a big record or something that is you know, big on the charts or does well or sells a lot of records, you get caught in this mentality that everything has to meet that expectation now. And so it's like sometimes you can get caught in going, well, my next record has to be big versus I just have to make good music. And I think it is very easy at that stage to kind of get caught up in that. So I think, like you said, like always remembering, man, I do this because there's nothing else I can do. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather be broke in doing this, which we were. Like and do this than do anything else. And I think sometimes we forget that, you know, like when we're complaining about like, oh, they, you know, we got a fly economy and we got to, and it's just like, man, like there was a time where it was like, I would have taken a bus to anywhere. Like if you had to put me on the bus and go and make that music. So I think remembering those things is, which was actually my next question, but whatever, y'all did it anyway, y'all got to it, is very important. Fred, I was gonna ask you this, because you're the only like, no, actually that's not, you guys are all producers. But for you as a producer, what do you think, because you work with so many artists too, what's the most important job you have in the room, you think?
I feel like sometimes it varies, you know, sometimes I can be the guy that's filling gaps. It depends how many people that's in the room. But I think if I work with artists, I think one of my jobs is to recognize gold and to find the nuggets. But it depends on who I'm working with. But you know what I mean? If some artists can sit at the piano and just like going through loads of ideas, and it's about building and finding.
Yeah,
the little,
Fred has this subtle way of telling you when you're trash. That's good, but you know, that thing you were doing earlier, that was go back to that. Like, so I'm garbage right now. Okay, fine, got it.
I'm a
the idea you had like 3 ideas ago. We should probably explore that again.
Let's hit that. For you guys, Tove and Caroline, do you when you're in the room with the producer, what makes it click for you? You think, like, what is it about, especially coming from the artist side, that makes you go back to a producer?
I think for me, I mean, I work a lot with the same people, but it needs to be someone that I can be very blunt with and honest with kind of right away. I mean, and I think, when you start out, you usually have a lot of uncomfortable, weird, bad sessions, which is a good way to learn, like, what do I like? How do I like to work in a room? What do I find the easiest? What is the most comfortable for me? But I think just someone that is also, for me, it's important that it's someone that is kind of thinking in the way of emotions, and like when I kind of tell the story that I want to tell, like if I'm writing for me and I'm like, this is what I want to write about today, that person can channel that feeling into the track and the production as well. And I think that really matters to me, and that I mean, I work a lot with Ludwig Söderberg and Jakob Järström, and we work together, since I started, and we fight a lot in our sessions. Like we can, really be at each other, but we end up somewhere. That doesn't scare me or make me uncomfortable, but it's because I know them. So I think, I don't know. Yeah. The honesty side of it, and the kind of dare to suck a little bit. Like you can have an idea and maybe it's bad and not take it, but it's starting somewhere maybe a bit more fresh and innovative, and then you can kind of work together to get it to a place where it makes sense. I don't really know. It's so much about personal energy, I think. I think even if I think someone's great, I might still be like, I just didn't like to be around you, so I'm not going to work with you again.
But that's huge to know, because I think a lot of people think like, oh, I make these massive beats. But a lot of it is, there's so many people who make great beats, and there's so many people who can produce and create records, but there are not many people who are good, just nice people you want to be around. So if you can find both, you're always going to pick the person you like to be around. And I think that's so important when you're going into rooms. Like there really can't be a room for your ego. I mean, I think we've all been in rooms where we felt like where we felt like kind of like, oh my God, I'm working. I mean, I feel like even last year we were a little nervous when we went into a session. We did a session with Calvin Harris, and we walked in like, oh,
I've never been more nervous. I've never been more nervous.
But you know, we kind of went into the room and everyone felt like an equal, and I think that's how you get songs done and created, and you want to keep going back and working with those people versus like, it was cool and all, this dude was eating grapes sitting there in his Balenciaga slippers. I got time for that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Fred.
It feels like it's also so, for me, it's so important with communication and feedback, because sometimes in sessions, it's like, I mean, people are sitting, like the producer are just sitting there with their back turned, and you're trying to communicate, and you don't get, like, I rather have someone telling me that my ideas suck than just
not say
nothing
anything
at all.
Yeah.
Because that's just like, you just try and you get nothing. But yeah, so communication, and just to be able, and also like open-minded. I'm trying to be super open-minded when I go into sessions, and I love when I'm wrong. Like if someone is like, that is the way it's gonna be, and then I'm like, fuck yes. Like it's the great thing about collaborating is when you just, someone sings a melody that I would never sing, and I'm like, oh God, I couldn't even hear that in my head, and it's amazing, and if it's perfect, and like that way. But to be able to get to that place, you have to be able to like communicate with each other, and like, and be willing to try everyone's stuff, and also, like you said, to be able to be a little bit blunt, because sometimes you don't have the time to be like, yes, maybe, or maybe could we. It's more like, no, I don't like that. What was the other thing? Because you're like in the moment, without it meaning that you're rude or anything, you know.
I think that's the Swedish side of us. Swedes are very blunt, you know.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
I like this. I do not like this.
Yes.
Listen, if you got a soft spirit,
I like Volvo, not Saab.
Yes.
You are not working with Swedish producers if you have a soft spirit. Because you, boy, you'd be like, what did you just say to me? I'm not doing for this. Like, it's just bottom line. Like, it's good or bad. There's no in between. Like, they let me know.
It's really funny working with, like, if I work with my Swedes and then we have another, like, American writer, for example, in the room, and then they just go, no, it's not good. Do something else. And you just see the other person like, what did he just say to her?
It's
all right.
They'll just literally be like, that's wrong. Yeah,
it's wrong. No,
that's wrong.
But I love that about Fred. You're very, like, working with you is there's that communication that you talk about, Caroline. It's like, that's what I love. The first time we worked together, you immediately like got the sort of the like emotion that I was talking about. You just nailed it. Like, we were fully in the same headspace. I mean, that's what you usually look for. It's like, you want to be in the same headspace as the person you're writing with.
And I think also for me,
because then
I think it's what's important for me as well is to feel freedom in the room, to feel that I can suggest anything, and I don't need to think about it twice before I say it. You know, I need to just think loud and be, you know, and be the dumbest idea ever. But stupid ideas, there's this thing that Rick Rubin said, like, stupid ideas is as valuable as great ideas, because it can be a stepping stone to a great idea, or it can eliminate where you don't want to go. So we've probably all been in sessions where we feel slightly like, you know, shoulders are up and we're slightly scared of suggesting things, and it's the worst thing.
And it's so nice when you get into that, where you don't overthink. You just it just comes. And I mean, I don't play bass, but if I hear something, I'm like, oh, we should do like boom boom, you know, and just start singing it. And you know, I love when you get to that, you're not ashamed of anything, or you're not, nah, maybe this is stupid, because once you start doing that, it's like you put all the maybe amazing ideas away as well.
That's so true.
Yeah, and I just want to kind of piggyback on that too. I think what makes what makes collaboration special is the whole point of it is you get something you don't
Mm-hmm.
think of or you don't see. And I think if you go in and go, this is the way it has to be to a writer who has this potential to just give you something different, then you're not utilizing them. You might as well just, write it yourself. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the point, going into a room and being open that, yes, this is maybe the way I go into the room sometimes with ideas and go, oh, I heard this in my head. I heard this melody or this hook. And then it may get totally flipped and only one piece of it stays. But if it's good or it's great, then that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter
Yeah.
how you got there. There's just one little piece of it. It's a value. It made that song be what it is.
Exactly.
And I think that's important to always remember, because I feel, and I have seen it where people kind of fight of, well, this is my idea, and it's like, doesn't matter. We're all throwing ideas, and if we're all working for one thing to have a great song, doesn't matter how big or small, it all fit
Mm.
to make that song work.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's important. I appreciate that. For time, man, we're just moving through it. So people ask, there's people asking questions. There's a little Q&A thing.
Nice.
Nice.
So I'm gonna find a couple. Let me just look through them first. Are these approved ones already, or because we'll be asking crazy things? Okay, I'll ask this one. This one's for you, Caroline. The question is it ever hard to come up with ideas? Meaning, do you guys like? Do you got what? Meaning, does it conflict? Do you ever have trouble finding a balance between each other's ideas, or do your minds just kind of fuse easily together?
I mean, me and Ino, we are like an old married couple. And we're like, yeah, sometimes we kind of share the same brain, and we're very different. We're so different. And we've learned, like, I know how I work when I'm creative, and I know how Ino works. So it's very easy. We don't even have a specific, like, this is what we do in the studio. It's all based on feeling. But we never fight. We can argue because we don't always think alike. I can be like, I think you're wrong. That's so wrong for this song. But then in some way, we always try both sides. And then without arguing, we get to a good, like, middle way. But we usually think pretty alike. Maybe that's because we have a band. I don't know, but yeah.
I've never seen two people. I remember we were in the studio and I was like, okay, this is the idea, whatever. We were going through it. And they both get up at the same time and cut the part on the same mic at the same. And I said, I gotta, what in the sister wives is.
Wow.
But it was
It's
like,
funny
that's
because
how.
we always cut
It's crazy.
our vocals like that, or at least
Amazing.
the chorus. And it started out because we didn't have time, because we were running out of time in the studio, and we were like, let's just cut this real quick. And then we just got such good, like, we could get energy from each other when we do it as well. So we just kept on doing it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you, Joseph, by the way, for that question. There was another one I saw that I liked. This one's for anyone, maybe for Fred too. In the studio, when you work on a song from scratch, what do you start with, and where do you like to begin? I feel like that's super open.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I was going to ask you guys, do you guys like starting from scratch, or what's your sort of ideal way of working?
I like starting from scratch because I think, or if it's just, a chord loop or something, like something very simple where you can kind of set the tone of the song more than when a track is too finished. I never come up with anything good. Like, it's rare. It needs to be kind of bare and just more open for, like, your imagination to take it where you want it.
I agree. I mean, I tend to start from scratch, and I normally maybe spend like 20 minutes or half an hour to come up with a few chords or something, but I very rarely end up using those ideas. It's like start talking about, drink coffee and talk about something, and then off you go.
And then his head starts bobbing.
Yeah, and I think what's great about that as well is that there's a certain danger to it. There's a certain kind of you have a bit of anxiety and and I think that's really good.
Yeah.
That's very,
Yeah,
very good
and
creativity.
I think it's great when you leave it kind of open, maybe just like a drum or something, and then you just start together, because it can, I mean, take so many different directions.
Yes.
You don't limit yourself. It's really all based on feeling.
Yes.
You don't have to even discuss too much before, like, okay, what are we feeling? Because if
Yeah.
you just start, someone will start singing something, and it's just such a good way of starting.
Yeah. But
Amazing.
yeah, I mean, if there was one formula I had, I guess I tend to start with chords, but not always. But that's I guess the corner I normally start in, and I guess that's what. Yeah.
I usually need to know what I want to sing about. Like I need to have an emotion. I don't need to have finished lyrics, but at least one line or something that, or like a scene in my head that I'm playing out, or like something I find in my just journals, whatever. Like something that I can like, oh, I know what this is. Like just a tone. And sometimes chords can give me that. And I'm like, oh, this is giving me that feeling. But I find it easier to get somewhere if I have like lyrics and melody are very intertwined for me. I find it quite difficult to hear if a melody is good if there's no lyrics to it. I can be like, yeah, trying to, sometimes I get sent songs to write lyrics to, but there's a melody but there are no words, and I find that's way harder than to do them both at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
For me at least.
Well, I'm the king of mumble, so I will mumble down a million things before you actually get a lyric in there. Let's see. Okay, let me find one more before we do this. Let's see. This one. It's for you, Tove. They said thank you for doing this. I think that was to the general group of all of us. But it says, what was your process writing Really Don't Like You, and how did it end up becoming a feature?
Well, so I wrote it with Ian, Kirkpatrick, and Kelly and Eileen. Amazing
songwriters, yeah.
Yes. And we had a couple of days together, and it was just us, riffing and talking about the feeling. That's when we started kind of with an emotion. Like we were just talking shit and talking about how it sucks when you've just broken up with someone and you see them for the first time with someone else, and no matter what the new person looks or feels like or behaves, you're always gonna like put them on a pedestal, kind of like, even if you're talking them down because you're just, it's hard to not do that because you're just in pain, you're still gonna like compare yourself, and it's like pretty painful and frustrating to like and it's a feeling that I think most people have but don't admit to. So that's kind of where we started, and we were kind of in the zone of like, I still want to make something that we can dance to, but that is sad. And it kind of just, like everything, we were just kind of singing melodies, had the idea, and just kind of had that line like, I don't like you, and then that's kind of how it builds. And then for me, I kind of just felt after listening to it for a bit, I really wanted to do something with Kylie Minogue, because when we had met like a year earlier, she said, like, oh, we'd love to make some music sometime. And I was like, I will remember this. So I just felt like this song could be perfect. I feel like it's her vibe. I feel like she'll really get, the sentiment of like a kind of a sad banger. And she was luckily loved it, and then was down to do it. And then like, did her thing to it and tweaked it. And yeah, it was just very magical process for me.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, listen, I appreciate you guys doing this so much. I mean, it's obviously a super weird time in life. So if we can, being able to kind of catch up with each other and talk about the thing we love, and hopefully this, some people who hear it and relate to it or get something out of it, is amazing. So I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day and to do those things.
Yes,
I love
appreciate you guys so much.
Thanks for having us. This is great.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah,
this was fun.
I miss you all.
And I'll say it again too. If there's a donation thing, anyone in the chat who's on if you want to donate. 100% of all the proceeds goes to songwriters, musicians, artists who can't afford healthcare right now. Everyone's not a Grammy Award winning songwriter. Actually, not even half of them are. So you know it can be tough out there. So if you want to or feel the need to, you can donate. We appreciate you guys. Fred, Tove, Caroline, thank you guys so much for doing
Cheers.
it.
Cheers with
Thank
my
you, Dan. Thank
It
you,
was,
guys.
I'm
Thank you
actually
so
the
much.
only one
Cheers.
actually.
Thanks,
What?
everyone.
Yeah.